friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be talking about my favorite oils for cooking and baking, particularly focusing on those used in high heat cooking. I'll also be talking about other oils that I don't use. I want to go over a list that I compiled of what I think, what I believe, according to what I've looked into, what are the best oils for high heat cooking, for moderate cooking, and some of the ones I recommend to stay away from entirely. Now, what I use, let's start off with the oils for high heat cooking. Now, my number one choice as far as the, really going with a high heat, because this is going to be the most stable, is your avocado oil. Now, I can link to this from Amazon, but I believe you'll get your best price if you buy it from Costco, this same brand. It's I think it's $10 a bottle for this size. I have my kids pick it up for me when they get into town and get to Costco. They say, "Hey Mom, you need anything?" I have them pick me up a couple bottles of this so I can always stay ahead. I love avocado oil for all kinds of stuff because, for making the skin creams as well. It's really good for the skin, but it can stand up to 570 degrees. It's 520 to 570 degrees for the avocado oil. So that is the most recommended when you're talking about frying, such as egg rolls or anything like that. And, we always, hear the fear of don't fry your food. But you know what? A little bit of fried food now and then is not that bad, especially if you're using good healthy oils that stay stable at high heat. So avocado oil, for the sake of the its stability, is my number one pick. But the one I like to use most is the coconut oil. Now this is refined coconut oil. Nutiva brand is the one I recommend. I've been using them for quite a number of years, and their refined coconut oil still has the best price that I can find for the gallon, so I'll link to it below. Even though I was disappointed they took it off the subscribe and save and raise the price a little bit, I was able to get these for about $15 a gallon. Now they're about $26, but still seems the lowest price I've seen on a 1 gallon bucket of refined coconut oil. I also use the unrefined coconut oil, and I recommend this one. You can get at Costco for best price on your unrefined organic coconut oil. And so if you have a Costco near you, check into that. You can also order online. It is a couple dollars more. Some of the stuff stays the same price to order online and you get free shipping, but the coconut oil is one of those that the price is different by like $3 a container. So another thing I have the kids pick up for me when they get into town. Back to the coconut oil and why I like to use it. So refined coconut oil for frying, because it is much more stable than the unrefined. And if you don't want coconut flavor in whatever it is you're frying, this is the best to go. Now, the unrefined isn't bad. It has a smoke point of 350 degrees, but you go up to the refined and you've got a smoke point of 450 degrees, which is pretty high. That's pretty decent. So those are my favorites. Now, one of the other reasons why I like the coconut oil for frying things like egg rolls and things like that you might have extra that's going to sit overnight, fish, a breaded fish. I have my egg roll recipe, or the egg roll wrap recipe, but I also have one on a batter for doing like an almond chicken, the Americanized version of almond fried chicken. And also doing a coconut halibut. It's a special batter that I make. And I'll link to one of those recipes right up here so you can see that batter. But the thing is about using the refined coconut oil for those is that if you have anything left over, the coconut oil, because of its nature, it solidifies when it gets cold, it actually keeps these things more crispy than like your avocado oil or other kinds of oils. Once it cools and it sits overnight, it still retains some of its crispiness. Not quite as much as fresh out of the pan, but definitely a lot more than if you use any other kind of oil. So I prefer coconut oil for that because of that. So some other good choices for high heat cooking would be almond oil. Now, I personally never have used it for cooking. I have almond oil on hand, but it's more for using skincare and stuff like that. But it has a smoke point of 430 degrees, which is pretty decent. And then another one is your grapeseed oil. This would be the next one down with a smoke point of 420 degrees. Now, I've used grapeseed oil before, but not for cooking myself. I would say it would probably be pretty comparable in flavor and stuff to your avocado oil because of its, you know, the other thing I like about the avocado oil is it just doesn't have a flavor. And from what I understand, neither does the grapeseed oil. And then another one is, and this is definitely going to be for flavor, and I just made my first batch yesterday of clarified butter. Regular butter with the milk solid still in it has a very low smoke point, like 200 degrees or less. But once you remove the milk solids from the butter and you end up with ghee or clarified butter, then you have a much higher smoke point of about 485 degrees. That's a major difference. And then this is going to add a nice flavor to your food. Now, personally, I wouldn't use this very often other than to add a little bit in for flavor, simply because it's going to be far more expensive than going with either the coconut oil or the avocado oil. But it's really easy to make your own. Like I said, I did it for the first time yesterday. And then I will, if you're interested in learning how, I'm sure there's lots of people already doing videos on it, but if you're interested in learning how I did it, I'll go ahead and shoot a video down the road. Let me know in comments below. The next one I want to get to is sesame oil. Now, on a recent video I did on the egg rolls, somebody had mentioned that the sesame oil has a low smoke point, and that surprised me because years ago I had read about sesame oil having a high smoke point. Well, I did some more research, and here's what I've learned. There's two types of sesame oil. You can have the unrefined, which this doesn't say one way or the other, and this is my favorite one. So I'm going to have to assume that it is unrefined. And it has a smoke point of 350 degrees, which isn't bad, depending on what you're doing. Still a really excellent choice for sauteing. So if you're doing like a stir-fry vegetable or of any kind, whatever it is, whenever I'm doing stir-fry rice or anything like that, you're not cooking at a high heat. This is excellent to pour in there. But if you're going to do a high heat, like I did with the egg rolls, putting a splash of sesame oil in there is excellent to add flavor. It's a very strong flavor, so you don't want to cook with it on its own. But make sure when you do that, you look for the semi-refined sesame oil. And I'm going to see if I can find some. I meant to do it before I started this video. And I'm going to see if I can find some on Amazon that I think looks like a good quality brand. And I will link to it below as far as one that you want to add to high heat cooking. But this will still get used because I use it for flavoring for a lot of stuff. But anyway, so that's what I learned on the sesame oil. And so I appreciate that person bringing that up because I was like, well, that's not what I learned. Well, there's two different facts out there because it depends on what you use. And that's where a lot of the confusions come in about what oils are best for cooking. So let's get to the olive oil. In general, no, I do not recommend olive oil for high heat cooking. However, you know, especially if you're going to go extra virgin olive oil like I have here, you don't want to use this in high heat cooking. However, if you get the just regular olive oil that's not virgin olive oil, certainly not extra virgin olive oil, you can cook at a little higher heat. I still would not recommend it for high heat cooking though. Olive oil, I would say go with the extra virgin to have it on hand because it's very healthy for you. I get this one, as you can tell, I get it at Costco because it's organic and extra virgin and it's very healthy. And how I use it is for adding to, let's say when I'm making my pizza crust, which I'm going to be doing here in a few days, I'm going to be putting some olive oil in there to get that flavor. It's not cooking at a high heat, it's just baking at a low temperature, and it's going to be relatively safe. It's also really good for making an Italian dressing and whatever else that you're going to do that's either very low heat or no heat at all. Because I recommend it just for health purposes because it is really good for you. And the extra virgin adds, unlike your regular, you know, refined olive oil, the extra virgin is going to add that nice Italian olive flavor that you're not going to get from your refined. Typically what you see in your more refined oils is less flavor. Though a lot of times we don't like to hear refined, it's not really that bad depending on what brand you're looking at, how they do it. You just got to pay attention, you know, is it steam distilled? Is it this? Is it that? All these different things that you got to look into how things are done, and that's going to change, that's going to have an effect on how healthy it is. So check into that for yourself. But anyway, more refined means higher heat, and that even goes for things like peanut oil. So peanut oil, for example, is one of those, but it doesn't, it's funny because unlike the coconut oil and certain other, and the butter, the difference of the smoke point between the unrefined and the refined is only 10 degrees. So you're looking at either 440 degrees for unrefined and 450 degrees for refined. Now, peanut oil is one of those that you have to watch out for if you have anyone who has high allergies to peanuts. And we all have heard about that. So it's got to be definitely tailored to you. I just don't buy it because you know, like I've said, I'm happy with the oils I have. I may eventually try experimenting with different oils just to see for flavor. But peanut oil is also another one of those that to me would go in the category of the sesame oil or the clarified butter to use more for a flavoring rather than to use solely, because maybe there's some things you don't want to have that peanut flavor in that you're cooking in. Unlike with your refined coconut oil and your avocado oil, it adds absolutely no flavor to the food. If you want to make sure it's very bland, because you're going to have your own flavors you're putting in there, you know, these are the ones I like best. And again, I think grapeseed oil would be another good option for that. I'm not sure about the almond oil. I've never tasted it to see what kind of flavor it has. Now, there's some other oils out there that a lot of people use for high heat cooking. Those are sunflower oil and safflower oil. Both of these can, from what I understand, be healthy choices, but they're also very questionable. This is where, again, I come back to when you start looking this stuff up online, you cannot trust just one source. So let me show you here. I've got 3 or 4 different sources where I printed off things about the different oils and compared them side by side to find what is the most reliable number that I see straight across the board, such as with the avocado oil, 520 degrees is the most reliable, the most consistent number I see, but I also saw one that said up to 570 degrees. But I came up to a page where I can see why somebody thought that sesame oil should never be used in high heat cooking, because it just totally bashed sesame oil altogether and didn't talk about the differences. And I saw that on something else like coconut oil as well. And yet more consistently, you're going to find coconut oil being a reliable high heat source of cooking, and a good healthy oil at that. So compare everything, you know, back to the safflower and sunflower oil. There's just, I think some of it boils down to how it's processed, what it claims. I think those are the main things you want to look at. And also some of it out there is fake. Like the safflower, for instance, is made from, it's not actually made from safflower seeds. So that's why you got to really research that. If those are oils you like, I don't use either one of them, so it doesn't matter to me personally. But if those are oils you like and you use, then I would research closely each individual one and the brand, the company, and find out how they do things, just to find out if that's going to be the right choice for you. But really, it's like I say with the essential oils or anything else that you're using, no matter how much you research a company, you're still having to put your faith that what you're getting is what they claim. You don't really have any solid proof on any of it. I mean, because there's a lot of scare over olive oil as well. Personally, I trust Kirkland Signature brand stuff, and I find them to be high quality. And I could research till I'm blue in the face and find bad and good on any of this stuff, and still the choice comes down to you've done your research. Sometimes you just have to trust God with the rest, with what you don't know. Make your best informed choice, and then just go with it. Now the oils I want to say I do not recommend at all are corn and canola, because they are most likely going to be GMO, especially if you're getting them here in the United States. Soybean oil, definitely no, at least in our case, because we try to avoid soy products. Soy is, and no matter what form it is, it's an estrogen mimicker. And I personally, especially if you're having thyroid issues and different things like that, soy is something you should be avoiding altogether, except for maybe a little bit of your Bragg's liquid aminos. That's the only thing I use as a soy-based product because we've used so very little of it. It's organic, it's non-GMO, and I feel pretty good about that because I'm not getting that much. But as long as we're avoiding soy in every other form, then I feel pretty good about the Bragg's liquid aminos. But anyway, in general, soy should be avoided for most people, and I would say pretty much everyone. Now, a couple more I'm going to list off are vegetable oil. Now, vegetable oil is a very broad term. Olive oil is a vegetable oil. Avocado oil is a vegetable oil. But when you go to the store and you buy a bottle of vegetable oil, you better be paying attention to what vegetables it's made out of, because it can be out of anything. They could be throwing in the genetically modified corn, soy, and canola all in the same bottle. You don't know what you're getting typically, so you need to look at that. I just avoid it altogether because if it just says plain vegetable oil, then especially if it doesn't say organic or non-GMO, then you know it's got all this other garbage in it that I do not recommend personally. And then absolutely worst of all is margarine. Stay away from margarine. It is a terrible butter replacement that came out as the healthy form of butter, and it is absolutely not healthy, not one little bit. It was a marketing ploy to get sales is what it comes down to, just to keep it very simple. Marketing ploy, it's not healthy. Avoid margarine at all costs. Even if you're a vegan, you should be staying away from margarine. If you want, I don't know what you can do for a nice butter flavor and get away from margarine, but if you like that flavor, you're going to have to figure out something else because margarine is very bad for your health. Okay, so my next list, the last thing I want to cover are healthy oils I recommend that you use, but not for high heat cooking. These should be reserved for either no or very low heat kind of things. And that is coming back to the extra virgin olive oil because it's very, very good for you. And the hemp seed oil, pumpkin seed oil, and walnut oil. Now the last two I have never used, so I don't know. I think walnut oil sounds like it would have a really wonderful flavor, as does pumpkin seed oil. And so one of these days I'm going to try them. I do know they're very, very healthy for you. Flaxseed oil is also recommended as a healthy oil. Now that's cool if you want to make capsules out of it. I personally don't recommend it in using in any kind of salad dressing or anything where you're going to taste it because I think it tastes terrible. Now that's my personal opinion. You may want to try it for yourself and find out what you think, but I just hate the flavor. Now, one recommendation I have for either like your hemp seed oil or any of these other nice flavored oils or olive oil is like what I did with these. I found these organic sunflower seeds. This go back to 2014. Mr. Rain loves sunflower seeds. So back when he was still working for the man, I would pack his lunch. One of the things I would do is send him with a little jar, a little small mason jar. Every so often I'd fill it up with the sunflower seeds, and I would sprinkle a little bit of hemp seed oil over it because these are not salted. They're just very plain, raw sunflower seeds. And these are 2014. I vacuum sealed them into jars so they wouldn't go stale on me. And then I would sprinkle just a little bit of the Himalayan salt over them so he could have them salted, have a little bit more flavor. And the oil helps the salt to stick to the sunflower seeds. So I just put the seeds in there in the jar, sprinkle a little bit of oil, sprinkle a little bit of salt, and then just shake it up really good. And then he had something to snack on because he had to commute to work. It was 40 to 45 minutes each way. So, that gave him something healthy to snack on to and from work. So that's one way that you can use your healthy oils that doesn't involve using any kind of heat. And then, of course, there's always the use in skin products, making your own lip balm, infused oils, skin cream and things like that, or even in your hair for a hair oil. I used to put, I don't do it anymore, and it's just not necessary because of the way I wash my hair now with my homemade shampoo and or my homemade vinegar. I used to, for my conditioner, I used to take a little bit of olive oil and put it in my hands, rub them together, and just kind of work it through my hair after it was after I washed it. And that was my leave-in conditioner, and it worked really good for my hair. And you could do that with any of these other healthy oils. So, okay, well, I hope you found that helpful and it will give you some ideas. Again, I highly recommend when you're researching the best oils for cooking, don't stop at one website. Like I said, I think I realized why there was some confusion on some of these different oils, not just for me, but for different people, is that you look at one website, it will say this, you go over to a completely different website, it might say something totally opposite. So look at everything, try to find the most scientific based one you can, has actually done the tests on the heat, and then compare them. Usually if you can find something that's got a good chart laid out like this, like one of these is from Wikipedia, where it tells you, and it tells you in Celsius too, not just Fahrenheit. You know, keep in mind, American, I'm saying all this in Fahrenheit, but you do that and compare them side by side, and then pick out the oils that you think sound best to suit you, and then look into what's the best brand, what has the best reputation, and all that kind of stuff, and then make your choices from there. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.